Welcome to the Into the Storm Leaders podcast, where we share real stories from leaders who faced their storms head on, grew through grit, and came out stronger. Hosted by Ron Kaminski, an expert EOS implementer and visionary of culture shock, this podcast is designed to help emerging leaders learn from others and highlight members of the herd that are examples to follow. Let's head into the storm together.
Welcome to the It's Leaders podcast. Really excited to have a special guest here with us today. This is Dave Skorepa of Aztek. Aztek is a strategic partner of the herd and incredibly grateful for that and really excited about the conversation today. So welcome, Dave.
Same. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us who Aztek is.
Yeah. Aztek is a digital marketing agency based here in Cleveland. We've been in business for over 27 years. And by the way, tomorrow will be my 25th anniversary with the company. So I've been here for
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. But we started as a software development firm way back in the day, graduated into web design. And, as the internet evolved, have just, organically grown into all your digital marketing disciplines of SEO and email marketing automation, pay-per-click, those types of things.
Okay. And so give me an idea of where Aztek is focused today. Like, what does the Aztek of today look like?
The Aztek of today is still very web focused. It is still our background, our strength, but we work a lot with B2B businesses, small to medium size, especially people who I think are coming and they're ready for a next tier of digital marketing sophistication. They've probably grown. They maybe have either no or a one-man show, so to speak, internally, and they're ready to kind of upgrade and move into a new tier of marketing maturity.
Okay. I want to talk to that in a second, but first I want to understand who Dave is. So Give me the elevator pitch on Dave.
The elevator pitch. So today I am Aztek's Chief Creative Officer / Operating Officer. I guess I'll do a little bit of both most days, but I started way back in the day as a graphic designer. I didn't know even HTML, and the Aztek was willing to take a chance on me. And, it was kind of wild days back then. I thought I was going to draw comic books for a living, went to art school. I thought I was going to be this artist, and realized pretty quickly that you had to make a living. And so comic books were not going to be the thing. Yeah. And got in at the early days of the internet and just absolutely loved building stuff and seeing it live and knowing that people were interacting with it. And it scratched both itches of getting to create something, and then it was something that was valuable to people, and it was really fun to see how the internet's evolved and marketing's evolved, and it completely took me in a direction I had no idea I would end up going, but it's really fun, and it scratches that itch.
I think it's kind of a common theme. Our leaders didn't necessarily start off to do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting in the visionary seat right now at Aztek.
Yeah, that's
got to be a pretty exciting time to be doing that with everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And I think the attraction to me of the industry has been that it's never stagnant, and we consider ourselves curious people. I'm very curious about a lot of different things, and being in marketing and web design and these types of things really affords the opportunity of every few years to say, I have to learn something totally new, because it's all been, everything you thought you knew was blown out of the water, and you have to learn, responsive design. You had to learn social media. You had to learn now AI. It's just constantly different.
That's fascinating to me. So 25 years with Aztek, your core values. Who are you guys?
The first one I would harp on is help others, which is that we have just an instinct in the DNA of wanting to help our teammates, our clients. We jump right in on stuff, sometimes to our own detriment. I think sometimes it leads to getting too involved but in a good way, right? There's never a situation where that's a bad thing. Like the Ted Lasso quote, it's never the wrong thing to do the right thing. So help others has probably been our number one guiding light on that. But in addition to that, we want to be honest in all of our dealings. We want to be a trusted advisor. We want to be giving good advice. I mentioned that earlier. We want to take ownership. And this is a very internal one, especially as, we have very much a team of people who say, I know how to do that, or I think I can do that, and I'm going to do that. So we have kind of a ask for forgiveness, not permission mentality of jumping in and saying, oh man, I really want to try this out. A great example of this, we do this thing on Fridays called Innovation Day. And it's a space for us to say, hey, take 2 hours out of your day, no client work, and play with something new. Learn a new technology, learn a new technique, bring it back to the clients in the business. What did we learn? What did we learn? What used to be a hack day, right? Developers all used to call this a hack day, but we expanded that definition to say, okay, work on your rock, work on some new tech. And it's not just for developers. This is for anybody to innovate in their space and expand their skills and really grow something that can benefit everybody.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys stood that up? Because I wonder if this isn't relevant to some of our other clients in the herd, not just agency. I'm talking outside.
Oh yeah, no, I think everybody should do this. Honestly, I think it's one of my favorite things that we do culturally at Aztek, because it says to everybody it's okay to fail. Number one, right? If you don't try something new, you'll never achieve something new. And we want to give people the space to say, hey, right. AI is a great example. And this is what we learned from, some of the other stuff that we've been through is if you don't give people the space to mess with this stuff, they will not learn it. You need to make it comfortable for them to say, okay, it's okay. You're going to take this amount of time. It's company sanctioned. Now we want to see what you did, right? It's not just, you just get 2 hours to goof off.
Yeah.
So we start the session with everybody getting together and saying what they plan to work on. So you've spent some time thinking about, I got this cool tool I want to try out, or this new technique I want to play with. We go off, we do our own thing. We come back at the end, we demo it. We talk about, what we learned, show off what we built. And then taking a page out of EOS, we always rate it. And we say, did you spend this time effectively? What would have made it better for you? And of course you want a 10, you want to say, wow, I figured this thing out. I had this breakthrough. I've learned this new tech. I feel comfortable with it. And now I feel confident to bring this to clients and say, we know how to do this.
This has got to pair really well with the rate of change as an agency that you guys are faced with.
Yeah, it's essential.
Wow. Love that. So talk to me about, we talk core values, core focus. Why do you guys exist? What can you do better than anyone?
So I think for a small team, we bring more value for every dollar you spend with us than I think a lot of our like-minded or such to say like industry competitors or other agencies. We've done projects for Fortune 500 companies with, you wouldn't believe how small the team was. Some very, very publicly visible stuff. And we just have some really smart, talented people who, because they take ownership as a value, because they know how to, the one I didn't mention of our values is GSD, getting stuff done, but we use the S word, is that we can ship too. We deliver. And these are people who work very hard and say, listen, we'll figure this out. We clean up other messes quite frequently as well. We inherit a lot of stuff. So we're really good at saying, okay, we're like a doctor. You come to us, your digital marketing's in maybe some poor health. There's some areas that need work done. We're going to diagnose you. We're going to say this is the prescription. And we're going to then also, offer the execution arm of that and say, hey, we can show you how to get this done. And for certain size companies, they're in this kind of middle school phase of like, they're not an adult yet, but they're not a kid anymore. And they need somebody to help them bridge that gap and guide them into the next tier of sophistication.
Too big to be small, too small to be big.
Yeah. And they need to say, okay, well, who can actually get this done for me?
The way you talked to me about AI was just like, this is just the next iteration. And so talk to me about kind of the iterations of the business over the last 27, 25 years.
Yeah. And I do want to come back to that because yes, it's the next iteration, but this is some stuff that we just have not seen. I don't think the world is truly prepared for, but it is of a similar ilk in that it's going to revolutionize the way that we're doing. Well, it already is. So that's a understatement. But if I want to draw a parallel to the things that we've seen as an industry already in terms of, just think about the internet and the .com boom and everybody scrambling to figure out websites, right? Like everybody's gonna have a website. Nobody understood what good user experience, that wasn't even a term, and then, standards evolve. Everybody kind of gets used to it. You settle into a rhythm. And then all of a sudden mobile comes out, right? Apple releases the iPhone. All of a sudden you've got to make this thing that you've been building one way for years fit on a small screen. So we're really used to these kinds of changes and we expect them and we thrive under those conditions. To say, okay, well, here's this new thing. What does it mean? We've got to be the first ones to start to get our heads around this because businesses are looking to us to say, well, what do I do? Somebody show me the way. And AI is no different.
Yeah. So this is, the It's Leaders podcast. Like we try to focus on storms, right? What are the storms you've been through and what have you learned from those storms? And my guess is a lot of clients, I think we're not exempt from this. A lot of clients are probably like, well, how do I even think about this? And so how should we be thinking about AI in this next iteration of marketing?
So I wouldn't limit the AI discussion to marketing, but again, I think marketing tends to be the canary in the coal mine on a lot of this stuff. Is we're the first ones who are asked to figure it out, right? And we're inclined to figure it out because we're a curious industry. Aztek no different. But the implications of this are so much bigger than just what you can do in ChatGPT. Everybody generically, I can write blog posts. Okay, you are barely scratching the surface of all the implications of this, from legal to ethical to to the human side of things. Of what does this mean for the future of work? What does it mean for how we price our products and the expectation around how fast it takes you, and whether or not human still has value, or what is their role in this whole thing? It's just complete different set of rules.
So I bet you've been through a few storms with clients. Can you talk to some of those and what you guys learned coming out of those?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, again, just getting people moved into each of these big iterative phases of walking them through, us getting our heads around it enough that we feel confident to talk to somebody else about it, right? And guide them through it without feeling like we're BSing them or leading them down the wrong path or giving them bad advice. One of our values is trusted advisors. We don't ever want to give bad advice. We want to give you good advice and really feel like we've done the work and confident in the recommendation based on what we know right now. AI being no different. It was just that, quite frankly, we're starting to get our heads around it as an industry / just businesses in general, but we really don't know where this is going to end up, right? So AI, different from maybe even responsive design for a parallel, is so much like changing minute by minute that we are spending so much energy. I described it to somebody as it's like trying to build the plane while you're trying to fly the plane. So it's a little like that. You've got one hand on the steering wheel and the other one going, well, what's coming around the corner tomorrow.
I got to imagine you're helping clients solve some things that are pretty complex in their organizations, and as organizations ourselves, we go through some storms. You have any examples or some just stories from the trenches and lessons learned from those that you'd be willing to share with our audience?
Oh, absolutely.
Love it.
So I just posted about this on LinkedIn this week because we had it come up. It comes up repeatedly. It's a theme. But it is because of what I just described of kind of where certain companies are at a certain size. They find themselves in this situation where, right, you've got to have all this stuff for digital marketing, right? You've got to have your social media pages. You've got to have your analytics logins. You've got domains, DNS. You've got all these things, and they're all in different platforms, and there's all these different accounts and access, and who made them, and who's got control of them, and who even knows what they are, right? But they're all absolutely critical to your business. Well, it's shocking, but it's really common that people come and they go, so the person who created our Facebook page left the company. I don't know how to get into it. I don't know where my DNS is managed. I don't know who's got access to our analytics account. Right? This happens. Not good. Not good. So our team, as a weird niche, I guess, has gotten really good at saying, okay, well, roll up the sleeves. Let's dig in and let's recover these accounts. Let's track them all down. If we can't recover them, let's reestablish them. Let's document it. Let's make sure you know where the logins are, who's got access, and let's get you back to healthy with this stuff, because you cannot not know where this stuff is. I mean, this is such a liability to not know who's got a login to your CMS still. Come on. I mean, but it happens. These businesses, they're small. Maybe they have a one person, a team who's in charge of their marketing. They can't handle it all, or their depth of skills is like, okay, well, maybe I know Google Analytics, but I don't know anything about managing the LinkedIn profile page, or I don't know anything about DNS. That's a totally different skill set.
Who knew you guys were in the risk litigation business?
I know. I never looked at it that way, but I guess we are.
That's crazy. I want to go back to AI for a moment. This is, I think, more than ever, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, how should a small to mid-size organization be thinking about telling their story, marketing their business in today's environment?
Relative to AI, I mean, so I can't, I'm going to misattribute the quote, but, I think it was in either Good to Great or one of those great business books that was about not putting the technology in front of the business need, right? And there's so much hype around AI, and if you can't tie it back to where it actually fits in your business, you are, it's everything looks like a nail when all you have is a hammer. AI is not the solution if you don't know what the problem is or what you're trying to do. And so we've just seen a lot of people, oh, tell me about AI, tell me about AI. Well, okay, but what is your business problem that you're trying to solve with AI? What can it do for you? Do you know what your use case is before you get, all carried away with
a lot of fear of missing out now.
Oh, absolutely.
The FOMO is very strong, and they don't want to be left behind. But your point is, we still need to start with the basics. Like, what are you trying to solve?
And this is how we tackled our own AI adoption, right? So you've got to look at a job function, and you've got to go, okay, what does this job do all day? Break this into tasks. What do you do all day? What are the ones that are the most laborious and tedious, and you just hate doing them? And if you never had to do them again, it would be too soon, because every job has them. And then ask yourself, can AI help me with this? Right? And now you've got a place where AI can actually improve. But start with one thing, and then make it two things, and then make it three things. But don't try to do everything with AI. Don't try to force it in there. It might not be good at it. That's the other thing. I think people see it as like this panacea of magical, it's an amazing technology that we've never seen something as powerful, and it's going to, of course, keep getting better, but it's not a magic silver bullet. Yeah. You've got to still understand what you do all day and whether or not the output's going to be better. And you might find in a lot of cases, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like people who are like, oh, I'm just going to have AI write my blog posts. And this is the thing that we're getting pressure on as an agency. Okay, look how good that is when it comes. It's garbage. They've got a term for it now. It's called AI slop, which is that, it can write one, but it's not going to say anything new, anything innovative, because it wasn't written by a human. It was written by, if everybody doesn't know, all AI is a super sophisticated prediction machine, right? It's just guessing that this is the right output, which is why it hallucinates, and it can't say anything new because it can only work off of what it's been trained on. So you want real creativity in your marketing and real insight in your thought leadership. You're not going to get that out of AI. It might help you draft it. It might help you with iterations. It might help you with editing. It's not going to help you with the insight and the creativity that all good marketing starts with.
Fascinating and scary.
Yeah.
So where do you start? So company says, listen, marketing's not working for us, or we need to solve something inside of marketing. Where does Aztek start? So where should a company start?
You've got to start with goals. You've got to start with the landscape, So I think for us, it's we've got to diagnose first, right? What are you trying to do? What have you been doing? What is not working inside of that? And then from there, what might start to solve that? I'm gonna steal another term from another marketer about what they call leaky bucket, right? So if you look at your whole marketing ecosystem, and you come to your digital marketing, you say, we need more leads. That's great. I can bring you all this traffic. What I can't do is fix if you don't address the leaky bucket of you have a lousy landing page or a broken form or something down the line. There's your leaky bucket. So you can say, oh, Aztek, you did a great job with my SEO. We've got all these rankings. Okay, happy birthday. But they're not converting to leads. You're going to blame your agency. You're going to blame your marketing. Well, you can blame the marketing, but if you didn't plug the leaky bucket, it doesn't matter. So we want to see that whole landscape and say, okay, this is what everything that's happening, but here's where you actually have the problem.
Sure. So I'm interested in working with Aztek. You guys are starting with that diagnosis that even in this new age, right? We're still starting with an assessment, right? Like, where are you? You've
got to know where you're starting from and where are you trying to go. So what are your goals and what's the gap between what you have and what you want to be?
Right. And so if there's a company in the herd that is hearing this message, we've asked you guys as a strategic partner, we've asked you guys to put together just a help first offer. If a company's in the herd and one of our core values is help first, and yours is help others. So that we've got some alignment there. What is the help first offer for a company here in this message?
Yeah, I mean, we'll basically do that for you. We'll give you a what we call a micro assessment. It's not the full blown. Obviously, that takes a lot of time and resources. But we can give you a taste, and we can say, hey, here's a couple things I see right off the rip, and you're free to do with that what you will. And we will give you some obvious quick wins. Well, they're obvious to us. They're not usually obvious to our clients. Right. But these are the things that maybe you don't know to spot. One of my favorite things that is a blind spot for a lot of businesses is accessibility. And it's not a sexy subject. It's really boring, but it's a weird personal interest of mine, which is that your website needs to be accessible to vision impaired or disabled users. So say somebody with a vision impairment need a screen reader. People don't realize that there is a way to build a website that makes it so that they can use it. You take for granted as a fully sighted person that you can just click and read and whatever. Somebody who's got low contrast problems, if your text is too light, they can't read it. And there has to be certain things in place on the website. Now, the business risk, and we're back to the risk management thing, you can get sued for that.
I have heard about that.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And you need to know somebody, one, you need to be aware of it so your website's getting built that way. But if you've already got a website, you need somebody who knows how to remediate it and knows what this risk is, because it's just a matter of time before you get that letter.
So help first offer. We'll make sure that that's in the notes for the podcast. But I always like asking our leaders kind of like what shaped you or who shaped you. So back to Dave. Like what's Dave reading? What's Dave inspired by, etc.? Where's that coming from?
So I mentioned, I like to consider myself a really curious person. In another life, I was, I'm artistic, but I also really love science. I read quantum physics and psychology for fun.
As most do.
Right? Yeah. And so I've spent the last 2 years digesting every Carl Jung book I can get my hands on, because I'm very interested in just, who we are and why we're here, and what reality is and what is your point in all of this. And I found that Carl Jung and psychology and psychoanalysis, if you're going to invest in anything, investing in yourself pays the most dividends. Understanding who you are, and in marketing is a benefit because psychology is super important, right? And you start to realize how many of your interactions and the way that you relate to people is just stuff that you haven't fixed about yourself that you see in other people, and that's where the conflict comes from. And so that's been like kind of the wildest thing the last 2 years for me. And to kind of go and read this stuff and you go, oh my God, that's what I do. It's like, I don't like that guy because that's what I do, or that person behaves that way because of this. And you can kind of see it, and all of a sudden you're more forgiving of them, or you're more, you're more empathetic towards them. And that's a good skill, I think, for your leaders to understand, like when you're dealing with an employee or a client, like you don't have to have this adversarial thing. Think for a minute about where they're coming from and understand that it's probably something about you that is causing the conflict, not so much them.
A lot easier to have empathy when you can
see it yourself. Yeah, absolutely. So,
and then on the marketing side, what are you reading? What conferences are you attending? That's really kind of shaping.
No surprise, it's all AI. And I was changed so dramatically coming back from Macon. And that group does such an amazing job and are such great resources.
What's Macon?
That's the Marketing AI Conference. Paul Raitzer, they're Cleveland folks. Paul used to own an agency here in town. He's just become this tremendous AI expert, and the conference is so well done, and they bring so many, insightful speakers. But, I went to it for the first time a couple of years ago, and, you just leave there going, oh my goodness, there's just so much. They do such a great job of framing how important this moment is and this technology is going to be. And they don't really sugarcoat things either. So it really gives you a great way to think about, where things stand, where they are going, and what their implications are. And that's really important context, because it is a really scary, I struggle between two polar extremes on AI, which is that on one hand, the technology is so fascinating and so promising. And then it's really easy to swing all the other way to be a kind of an apocalyptic doomer and say, this is going to change humanity, and not necessarily for the better. This could devastate humanity.
Well, on
if
that
we don't,
note,
if we don't do it right. And I think
right.
what to me the lesson with what Paul Raitzer is doing and some of the other leaders in that space is we've got to keep humans first. We've got to be responsible about our usage, even something as small as using it at work to do, your marketing work. Like humans have to be at the center of this stuff, and we've got to keep that middle path of it's amazing, but let's not lose sight of its risks.
Fascinating. I'm sure this is not going to be our last conversation, but I just full of gratitude for Aztek's support of the herd as a strategic partner. You guys willing to invest in other organizations from a help first perspective, taking the time to do this today. Really appreciate Dave. Happy anniversary and Aztek. So
likewise, we feel the same about Ron and Culture Shock. So appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate that, and we'll make sure that the help first offer is in the notes. And please reach out. You guys can tell that he's a little bit passionate about what they're doing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.